So how about we just hop into some replays and take a look-see. So we should be able to do watch with others if we click in the replays folder.
Sure.
Did you guys have any particular ones? I figured today we'll be talking just like looking at what you guys are doing. Obviously, like we can see, oh, okay, this would be a better way to make your plan better. But I think the main one will be like just trying to come up with like, I guess like dance moves, you know, like a little bit of a plan. Just make it a bit more of a set play for your 2v2 strategies. One of the big things that I've found is like there's a few patterns like have some sort of opening attack timing and then you both kind of expand behind it and then you go for another big attack. And that's like a really nice way to give you like the initiative. So you attack first and it kind of makes the game a little bit less variable where I feel like if you play a bit too passive in 2v2s, the opponents can either surprise you with a big all-in attack and you just get overwhelmed, or they can be really greedy and get a bit far ahead of you, and it feels like it's hard to know which one's coming. Whereas if we go into it with like a bit more of an organized opening plan, that can be a nice way to get momentum and basically feel like you're really syncing up as well, because then we can try to make it so what races are you guys both playing? Is it Protoss and?
So I typically play Protoss, Baby Swiss. Honestly, he kind of rotates quite a bit. He plays random. He's been playing a lot of Terran recently.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. Then we can kind of think of different things that sync up with the Protoss attack then and stuff like that. So yeah, there's lots of different variables. There's so many different things. 2v2s is fun. I'm not an expert in it by any means, but there's just so much extra power if you can time things out together and both hit your opponent at the same time. Like you just smash. So that should be awesome.
Sure.
So right now, Baby Swiss is the party leader. So you can either go to the replays folder and open it up, or
let's let me pull up a replay here if you like, and then we'll make you party leader.
No worries. I don't need to be the party leader. Just once we're in the lobby, make me the lobby host, which sounds like it's the same thing. Yeah, just make me the lobby host once we're actually in a replay, and that'll let me steer the replay. Okay. Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Because you guys are the ones who've only got access to the replays right now, so I'll still need you guys to be the party leader to host them up.
Okay, yep. Let's see, I've got two decent ones here. I'll just start with the first one. This one's one where we're defending a cannon rush in the beginning, so that was sort of an interesting one.
Oh, cool. The famous cannon rush to try and waste a ton of both of your times and keep you guys on the back foot and distracted for a long time. Especially if it's followed up by something cheeky from the other player, that can be a killer. Double medevac drop or something like that hits you just when you guys think you've stabilized. Oh, you just made me the party leader. I'll make you the party leader.
Yep.
So if you just go replays, and if you click on a replay, rather than watch solo, there's the watch with others button that's highlighted next to that one.
Oh, I see. Yep. That's what I was doing wrong.
And that basically is like hosting a replay lobby is what that'll do. And then once we're in there, there'll be the promote to lobby host. So basically my account just quickly downloads that replay when I click accept is what's happened. And just now right click me in the lobby and go promote to lobby host. All right. So you guys can look around the map and stuff, but I'm going to be controlling the speed of the replay basically and going back and forth and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. And actually, I lied. This one was not the cannon rush one. This was a different one. So.
No worries. This is. I don't know if you've ever watched any of my newbie streams where I kind of just let anyone send in replays, but everybody always sends in the wrong replay. So you're not the only person to get a replay confused. There's been so many where it's like this really beautifully detailed question about how do I get better at Protoss vs ZERG, and it's like a TVT replay. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happened, but I can't answer your question. Sorry. All right. So. Gotcha. You guys got Protoss on Terran, which, like you guys said, is kind of like your most common pairing. You're in the bottom left side. You guys are going to go wall off at the front, which is pretty awesome. So if we think about Protoss and Terran, what sort of what sort of like composition are you going first of all, Swiss, with Protoss? Are you normally a ground focused player, air focused? Is it like Colossus, Stalker styles, Zealot styles?
I couldn't say that I have like one particular style. I float around quite a bit. I think we both do. Baby Swiss a lot of times will go a lot of widow mines and nukes, that sort of strategy. I just kind of go whatever I feel like at the time.
When you get a big hit, it's saying.
Yeah.
Sorry. Lots of like fun like harassment from the Terran, right? Like you like lots of like just widow mines, nukes, so kind of setting up strong defenses and like wearing them down, right?
Yeah, and that to the extent we have a plan, that probably would describe it. But I think the larger problem is we have a plan. So.
No, that's cool. That's awesome. Well, always the best plans are the ones that work in the stuff that we already like to do. So it's definitely good. Obviously, like I do think like, you know, there's really satisfying if we can get a coordinated opening pressure or attack going or something like that. The current map pool, though, I haven't played too much 2v2. Are most of the maps shared bases? Kind of like this map where you've got like, you know, pretty easy single wall off at the front?
I think right now, yeah, they seem to be.
Yeah, because I was thinking they'd moved a bit more in that direction, whereas there used to be a few more where it was like you were separate, and there'd be like the expansions were kind of like on the low ground between both of you, like that sort of thing. I think there might only be like 1 or 2 maps like that at the moment, so that's a bit different.
I feel like last season there were a lot more maps like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. So it's a little bit more kind of turtle friendly, which definitely does kind of say, okay, just doing a straight on frontal attack might not be like as powerful now. That being said, okay, cool. All right, okay, so we're around the level where your opponent's here about the same APM as you guys. So this is kind of like, I guess, roughly on average about what? Probably high silver, kind of low to mid gold in 1v1 APM. And the Protoss player is building cannons behind his mineral line, going for a quick expansion. The Terran is trying to get up some tanks behind a wall of... Okay, cool. So this looks pretty standard. Everyone's kind of doing relatively standard things, but no one's going to be playing like hyper aggressive too often at this league, right? I imagine a lot of your games you guys do get through the opening stage without someone just like straight up all-inning you with like proxy barracks and like 12 pool zerglings across the map. That's probably very rare, yeah?
Yeah, that's probably fair to say. Usually we're probably more aggressive in the early game than our opponents, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you put a pylon in the guy's mineral line at the start, I bet. You've already got a nice little bunker to deny them taking the expansion down here. So this is cool. So what I like is, okay, so I'm already like sensing the style of you two, right? Which is you like doing these kind of like not 100% committed because you're both expanding, but like really getting like interesting forward proxies and contain. So to me, it feels like you're creating difficult situations for your opponents, right? And this has massive, massive power because most people panic and freak out, and what it looks like is you're going to get like a tank bunker contain outside the base, right? You already put a pylon down in the mineral line just to like freak out the guy a little bit. Now you're proxying gates and shield batteries outside. So this is awesome. I mean, this sort of strategy, I almost am like, I don't even want to give you guys any advice on how to do the opening crazy pressure because you can be so creative with it, right? But if we think about it a little bit, what is probably the best sort of way to follow it up is something we can definitely think about, right? So if you're going to be getting a contain, let's actually, so have you got your Google document open? I'm going to send that to you on Discord. Hopefully you guys can, I don't know, do you guys have like an extra monitor, or maybe you could just tab out to it sometimes, whatever. Basically, I think
we have
the main
monitors, I can see it.
Awesome. PVT. So let's just think about like, well, not PVT, I don't know, what do we call this? Protoss Terran combo. So I think for now, let's just talk about this since you've been playing a lot of Protoss vs Terran, and even if you're playing random, right? 1 in 3 games is going to be this. So I think this has got some of the best late game, and it's also got some of the most ridiculously good tools for containing your opponents. So I think what would be really cool here is if we just kind of think about it in terms of, okay, if you guys want to do a sort of containment and work this as like a regular strategy, it's such a useful thing to do, and especially with like nukes potentially coming in as well. That's, I mean, if you've got them pinned back, that's going to be huge. So ultimately, tanks are just the best ground containing unit, right? Like if you can get some bunkers and tanks up, that's going to be huge. And shield battery is probably not even nearly anywhere near as important, simply because I think Baby Swiss could literally have the sickest contain without you even helping, almost, right? So, because Baby Swiss with the bunker and stuff, like that's actually really cool. And if you guys actually look to set it up kind of down the bottom of the ramp, maybe roughly where these backup shield batteries are being put from the start, that's going to be so hard for them to break. But usually Sky Toss is one of the best things from there. So mech verse plus Sky Toss is like super powerful. Now, obviously there's like carriers, all that sort of stuff. But if you're containing them, if you can get up a few Tempests, like that would be huge. And if you're covered by a few bunkers with Marines in them, and then you can add some shield batteries as backup, it's just going to be really hard for them to do anything about it. And you guys could really pick away at them with Tempests and work that sort of siege angle very decisively. And that would be a huge way to do it. And then if you do find yourself, you know, getting out of it, that would be really cool. So I really like this idea of like, if we have like phase 1, so tanks plus Sky Toss in general, mech versus Sky Toss is just a really good army. If you can get lots of gases, lots of factories pumping tanks and Thors. But I think an early game tier 1 push would basically be proxy racks plus bunker. And could even build the very first barracks on the other side of the map, right? First barracks on enemy side of the map. And then you basically just go straight for the bunker outside their ramp. And then you proxy a factory and go straight for, let's say, at least 2 to 3 tanks. And then you can head towards nukes from there. Because this, I think, would be super duper powerful. Head to nukes to start blasting the ramp. And obviously you could do things like on this map. You guys see where I'm signaling on the minimap?
Yes, I see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Up there or there. And then you can scan the high ground or use one of the Tempests to spot, and you can actually like launch a nuke kind of onto the mineral line from the low ground with a ghost. And that's like a super, if they're really focused over at the ramp, I think a lot of maps will have this sort of angle where obviously you could just launch a nuke on the ramp. And even if they,
it's okay.
yeah, that'll be like super, super good. And yeah, I think you can outrange a siege tank. I don't know if you can kill a siege tank with a nuke, but if you put it like a certain distance in front of it, you can at least damage the tank really badly, and it won't actually be able to reach your ghost. So you can kind of like feel out the range of how far you can cast the nuke from. But that's like really cool. So you could head to nukes to hit mineral lines up the cliff and to break the ramp, right? To kind of siege it. So that's like a really fun way of messing with them. I think behind that as well, we think of what you're doing as the Protoss player, which is going straight Protoss, immediate proxy Stargate, right? So I actually think for you, it's easier to keep your first gateway at home as the Protoss player because your job is covering both of you, right? Because if Baby Swiss goes across and builds his barracks on the other side of the map, he's going to need you to defend his economy if they also rush with a couple of harassment units or a Reaper or something like that. But you can still then chrono boost like Adepts, a couple of Adepts or Stalkers and run them across the map to the front. And then you can already have a Stargate building up there at the front as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is I like this plan. This is really fun. And then you can basically go for like 1 to 2 Void Rays. If you want, you can go really hard on Void Rays, but basically go straight to Tempests if you feel like it. Straight up to Tempests. And that would be really powerful. So what I like here is the idea of if you guys both do this off one base, right? If we do this off one base,
I'm sorry.
if you guys don't expand at all at the start and you kind of get this contain going and then you guys expand behind it would be really powerful. And I think one of the best things to do there is like really when you do get back towards like macroing, you like batch things up really well because you're going to be putting so much pressure on your opponent, getting them contained, Tempests are picking away. You're going to like float tons of money. So a really good rule that you can kind of apply for yourself is basically double expand. So basically you're both so focused on like it's just one base and you get to focus on the micro and using the tank bunker contain really well. Which, oh, by the way, another thing, You proxy a factory, go straight for 2 to 3 tanks. You can also you can lift your barracks after 8, however many Marines, let's say 8 Marines, and then you can spot the high ground with it. So then the barracks can actually, like, if they've got tanks defensively, if we can actually go back in this replay and like take a look around that time where there was like a little bit of a standoff. And I don't know if you ever built a tank. I thought you were going to build one, but even if we did, the tanks on the high ground would be a problem. But if we then floated our barracks forward, we could actually spot those tanks, move our tanks just in the edge of range, and that would be really powerful. Baby Swiss, so do you know how to click on the enemy siege tanks and see where their edge of their range is?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, if you float a barracks in, you just kind of click those tanks, you can see where that dotted white line is, and you just siege up right on the edge of that, and then they won't be able to see you there, and you'll be able to get the first shots off. Awesome.
Okay.
That'll be so powerful. All right. So we've got first barracks enemy side of the map. Awesome. Okay. Nuke. All right. So one base. So one base until you're both super in their face and containing them. Eventually, we will float lots of money, right? So we do want to make sure you have a full one base while the whole early game's going, right? Minimum 16 workers on minerals, maybe more than that, and the 6 guys on gas. But then at some point, maybe 7-8 minutes, you're both going to be like, okay, these guys have defended, they've managed to hold on, and you'll be like, oh, I'm floating 2,000 minerals or something like that, right? So at that point, you just jump home and you go grab a worker or box your workers, build command center on one base, build a command center on another base, build a nexus on one base, build a nexus on another base. So just take 2 bases at once and then start your transition, right? And the idea being that we're probably going to have to go into a more next phase of the game, and maybe we can keep containing them and nuking them for a bit and stuff. But once they break out, we kind of want to have some infrastructure behind it. So that's kind of our tier 1 push into both jumping up to 3 bases at once, which is like very greedy, but hopefully we've put our opponents on the back foot enough and we're kind of trying to do things all at once. So some nice techniques like, box the SCVs and just go around, build. And if you've got like 3,000 minerals, take like 4 or 5 bases at once. It doesn't even matter, right? And then like take all your gases at once, or build like 5 factories all in a row, all at the same time, something like that, if you're floating the money. Cool. So in terms of like mid game onwards, what do you guys think you'd want to be going to compositionally? Do you want to just try to play like carriers and mech? Looks like I see Swiss in this game. Baby Swiss is going starports and you're going gateways. So if you guys have like opened up with like a few Tempests, a few tanks, and then like nukes to contain them, any cool ideas on what would be like what are you guys' favorite units that you think would just be fun? Because I think with this sort of plan, you guys are going to have enough momentum to like really pick what your next phase is. And maybe you can counter your opponent sometimes, but like, let's just say there's nothing we really need to counter. Is it like battle cruisers and like mass stalkers? Like, what do you guys feel like?
I don't know that we have a big preference. Baby Swiss oftentimes will follow this up with just like mass Viking. I think in this game I'm mostly stuck on stalkers. I don't know that that's really normal for me, but.
What about the rule of cool? What is the most fun units that you guys both have? Let's start with Baby Swiss. So like, obviously you like nukes and stuff. You like the Vikings. Are there any like Thors or battle cruisers, tanks? Do you like just playing the mass Viking? You want to like stick with that? What do you feel like?
I don't like getting a lot of cyclones and running in the middle ranks, killing a bunch of waffles and running away.
Sorry, it's a little muffled because you're a little further from the mic. Was it lots of cyclones and like doing hit and run?
Yeah, he said he enjoys cyclones, running them into mineral lines. That's what he said.
Okay, awesome. You love your harassments. This is great. Cyclones are later on going to not be as good in big frontal fights, but we could definitely... You only need a handful of cyclones to do run bys, so that could be super awesome. Just as something where, especially if you... have you tried locking them onto the command centers and the hatcheries and the Nexus before, Baby Swiss, so that they do that, or do you just kind of let them take down the workers and whatever they find?
I think we're probably both more in the A move mindset still, but
So I think that's a really cool trick then. So basically what you do is rather than A moving with the Cyclones, if there is no defense nearby, you just click them in, and you only need 3 or 4 Cyclones to do this, and you just move them past the enemy Nexus. Say, imagine it's a Nexus, and then you just make sure you try to tell them to use the lock-on. So I don't know what the lock-on hotkey is off the top of my head, because I use really weird hotkeys, but you just press that left click on it 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row, and they'll take out the Nexus in about 5 seconds. It's like so damned fast, and it's really, really annoying for the opponents to play against. It's actually one of the things that people get really annoyed at with Cyclones. So if you ever get to a point in the game where you've both expanded all across the map, there ends up being a lot of undefended bases, and that can be like just one of the funnest things to do. So just a cool little Cyclone run-by tip. If you move command past the base so they don't waste their lock-ons, because if you A move, they'll just lock onto random workers. And then you manually cast on the base, like, you know, a bunch of times, and it'll go down super quick. So the maths on that is they do 800 damage each over 14 seconds, assuming you have mag field upgraded. So basically, if you've got like a Nexus has 2,000 hit points, so basically 3 Cyclones over 14 seconds are going to do 2,400 damage. So even 3 Cyclones will kill a Nexus in like 12 seconds, something like that. You get 5, 6, 7 Cyclones, it goes down to like 6 or 7 seconds, or even less. I'm not good with numbers. You guys can probably tell how much. But the point is it's super fast. So just a cool move you could do with the Cyclones. All right, so if we're going Cyclones, you're going to have a lot of factories with tech labs as well. So if the opponents get a really big army and start pushing you, I think Thors would be a really good unit for you to be able to build, Baby Swiss, because they shoot up, they shoot down. They're one of the most like well-rounded units in the game at just general fighting, and you can attack move them. They don't require too much fancy micro. That's why it's one of my favorite units to go if I get to late game and I want to just build a unit that I know is going to perform really well. So one of the cool things, if you are doing that style, is trying to make sure that after the Cyclones, so after we get Cyclones out, make sure if we can get, your goal is going to be, and depending on how much money you have, but if you've got a lot of money, try to get, like, let's say 7 factories with tech labs.
Okay.
And 2 armories.
With the purpose of going Thors?
Yeah. And so, I mean, you're already going to need a few factories with tech labs before that, but if you can get a nice big row of factories, like, that is just going to be huge, because then you can, no matter what happens in the game, at some point, you'll be able to always build an army that's going to beat just about everything, because Thors will beat battlecruisers, even if the battlecruisers are using their Yamato really well, which most people won't do. They'll beat carriers, they'll beat tempests. The only thing the Thors really lose to is like mass immortal, well micro disruptors, mass siege tanks. But even a lot of those units, if your opponent like gets caught on the move, the Thors will still do really well. So Thors are just like one of the best, like kind of beats everything late game. And especially when everyone wants to build carriers and stuff, it just smashes carriers really hard. So you've just got to remember with Thors to swap their firing mode to single fire mode. So if you just always do that by default, that's going to be really good. There are times where their splash damage can be good because it does splash, but it does much less damage. It's like only really good versus like Mutalisks and Phoenix and a few other units. So if you just follow the rule of always swap your Thor's firing mode as they're popping out of the factories, and that makes them shoot really far, and they do a single fire shot, but it's like 11 range. It outranges almost every unit in the game. So even versus light units like Mutas, the single shot is still going to do pretty darn well. And then Mass Thors is super awesome late game. Just swap to single fire, anti-air. Awesome. All right. Other than that, let's take a look here at this madness later on in this game. Your opponent is going for the Mass Thors, and we can see that you guys are now going to be in a fair bit of trouble. Looks like these guys managed to weather the storm. They've turned it around. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I think the mass Thors actually beat us in this game, if I remember.
Yeah.
And they've got 2-2 upgrades. Wow. You guys were doing really good, though. But, yeah, I think their army was just, I guess, a bit too good. Do you get... do you get the smart servos upgrade ever, Baby Swiss, for your Vikings?
Yes, I did this game.
Cool. Because being able to land those Vikings quicker is really nice. So when you go mass Vikings like this is kind of a troll strat, but it's really fun. So one of the best things you could do is definitely if you fight an army like Thor's or something like that, you're just not going to be able to really beat it front on with the Vikings. But what's really cool is if you just go around the back of their base, like if you fly up along the edge where these carriers are in this replay, and you come around the back and just like land, kill a whole bunch of stuff. And what you can do is you can drop scans ahead of the army. So whenever you see them coming back to defend, you just lift up and fly away. And obviously you can fight carriers or any air units that chase you really well, but you don't really want to get stuck into a fight on the ground against like mass Thor or heavy roaches and hydras or anything like that. It's more about like hit and run tactics and only really fighting head to head against air units because that's your specialty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good to know. I think in this game, I think I instructed him to go attack the Thors with his Vikings, and that turned out not well.
I said, I don't think I should.
Yeah.
Thors absolutely slaughter Vikings.
That's why we don't listen to Dad. That's why we don't listen to Dad. Jeez.
I thought I remembered that they got bonus damage versus mechanical.
They do.
I thought it would go well.
They do get the bonus to mechanical. It's just not enough. Awesome. All right. Well, so yeah, definitely Stalkers are going to be a really bad choice. So we've talked a lot about the Terran side of things. Stalkers, they're very general purpose, but they're just not going to scale well at all. So even though they seem like a good choice, I just feel like they're almost never going to be what we want, especially because you've already got the anti-air covered by Baby Swiss. So I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, oh no, we dropped the ball going Stalkers. These units aren't going to scale that well. So I think if you go Stalkers, you could make it work, but you need some explosive power behind it. So disruptors, like if you go like double or triple robo disruptor, behind it you can make up for it because disruptor's amazing versus Thors and most ground units. You can't outrange like siege tanks, but because the disruptor's just so powerful, it makes up for the fact that the Stalkers don't really do much on the ground in terms of raw fighting. But of course the Stalkers can hunt down drops, defend mutalisks, defend air units. They've got long range, so they pair up with the disruptor as well. So that's definitely an option if you do want to play Stalkers. It's going to give them that kind of ability to play into a bit of a later stage in the game, I think.
Okay.
Have you used disruptors much at all, or is it kind of like you've never really touched them?
I don't know. I love disruptors.
Yeah.
They're the great equalizer.
Sort of, probably not something that I go to often, but I did in this game. So.
Yeah. Definitely. I've seen, it's funny because Stalker's like the #1 unit that people get stuck on in team games. Back in the day, a few years ago, we were playing a lot of team games. Every game, Maynard would play Protoss. He'd be like, all right, I'm massing Stalkers. These things give me a lot of problems as a Terran on the ladder, so therefore I'm just going to make mass Stalkers every team game. And I was like, stop, they're not that good. But, you know, they do really well in the early mid-game and stuff. There's just always this point where, like, everyone gets to, like, big, fearsome armies, and then the Stalkers just do nothing. And you're like, oh, this unit was so good for so long, and then, it just doesn't really do that much anymore. But, cool. So definitely, I think if you're going Stalkers, disruptors are the way to do it. All right.
Okay.
So let's Protoss. If we're going Stalkers, only works if we add, let's say, triple robo disruptor. I think in general, more production is better than less production. So always better to have a bit extra production just in case, that sort of thing. And yeah, Stalker disruptor is actually pretty well rounded, to be fair. It's actually like kind of cool because this disruptor is so darn good that it does allow you to I'm kind of like, I feel like there should be extra units added to this, and then there's part of me that's like, if you throw those disruptor shots well, you probably could get away without it. Awesome. All right. So other than that, yeah, your opponents go carriers in this game. Cool. Okay, so this game's, I think you guys were pretty dead from here just because those guys were making double, triple upgrades. You guys, you know, and even though their economy was not that big, they only took a couple bases each. They built like a really good late game army off it, and you guys just ended up more with like a kind of light harassment army. So we can see your opponents just had a bit more of a good fighting composition towards the end. But yeah, definitely I think disruptors would have countered it. The Vikings being used more for run-bys would have counted it as well, right? And then just fighting the carriers only. So that's kind of a cool way to think of it, is if one of you can deal with the air, the other one can deal with the ground. But it kind of depends on what styles you're playing. And I do think in general, like, you know, Thor's a very general purpose. Stalker Disruptors, very general purpose. Skytoss can be really powerful, for sure. But generally, you do want a bit of support for it. Okay, so let's take a look at this carrier versus Viking battle up here. Okay, cool. All right, so what you really want to do, Baby Swiss, to make it a bit better versus the carriers is you want to try and actually click on the carriers themselves with Vikings, because otherwise they spend a lot of time shooting the interceptors. So if we look at that fight one more time, you kind of ran them back from the interceptors. So when you do pick the fight, I'll try to show it again. Try to just be really decisive and basically just right click on one carrier and then shift right click on the other two carriers. Do you use shift much, Baby Swiss?
Yeah, a lot.
Cool. So that's the best way to do it, is just right click and just make sure you really cleanly and accurately click right in the middle of each of the carriers, because if you accidentally click on the ground, then the Vikings will try to move up to the carriers rather than fighting. But yeah, definitely focus fire versus carriers. So focus fire versus carriers, because otherwise you end up with like 20 Vikings all shooting a single interceptor, and then they take a few Viking shots to take out an interceptor. So they kind of end up being very inefficient there. So just focus fire versus carriers, right click and shift right click. Awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't really focusing on my army in that battle.
Oh, you were getting hit by Dark Templar in the bottom right now, so you were actually distracted. That's why.
Yeah.
Evil Dark Templar harass. You guys actually expanded a lot quicker than your opponents as well. So yeah, definitely. Well, especially the Swiss. Damn, yeah. You took a lot of bases. So your bases were getting denied in the bottom, Baby Swiss, which was unfortunate. But you had a bigger army that was doing a lot, and I don't think there was anything you guys could do from here. It's going to be really, really hard. Oh, lots of adepts being warped in. Ooh, don't be making adepts in the late game. Very inefficient unit, yeah. Better off just making stalkers there. I never thought I'd say stalkers were a better option in the late game, but compared to the adepts, they are.
Yeah, I think I had the idea of trying to shade in and kill a bunch of workers, but I don't even think I managed that. So.
Oh, looks like you're going to kill some. But yeah, it's as the game gets later, it's just like, oh man, you might as well have just added charge and just made zealots, because they can actually overwhelm cannons and stuff really quickly and just kind of take everything out, right? You shade a few adepts in a base, they take a while even to kill a queen, whereas you run a few zealots in and they'll just tear everything up so fast. And you also went for a base that was already almost mined out. So remember in the later stages, like if you actually split those adepts up, you just sent like a few behind to each of these bases. So a real good chance you do some huge damage. That whole bottom right side, super undefended. So the power of like sending out some harassment, so powerful in the late game. Even if you just have charge, make 10 zealots, you just queue up an attack move. If you don't know about their bases, you just queue it all around the corners of the map, and they're pretty guaranteed to find some good damage. So the more you just do that and you think of it as a throwaway, don't micro it, don't even look at it, it's just set and forget, those sort of things are like massive value.
Okay.
Awesome. Here we go. Speaking of zealots. Wait, you didn't get charged though. These are slow zealots. I was on 8 times speed, so I didn't realize. GG. Awesome. That was a good game though. You guys had a really fun contain at the start. I just want to watch the start really quickly one more time. Do you guys leave the replay yet?
No, I'm still in it.
Still in it? Awesome. Okay, so just to highlight, if you send one of your first, you still build a depot at home for sure, Baby Swiss, but you send a second SCV straight across the map, like right at the start. And then you can just build that barracks like outside their base, basically. And if you can hide it a little bit off to the side like you did, that's probably better. But you want to send it all the way across, like right at the start, so you can get that barracks forward. And that's going to allow you to get that bunker up with the Marines in it really early before your opponents even have any units. And then Swiss can obviously, like I said, just rally some stalkers and adepts across, and you're both going one base, so you both want to get like the 2 gases really quickly, and then you can go, okay, proxy factory, get a few tanks to control their ramp, and then lift the barracks to spot the high ground, and you can kind of siege them down. That's going to put a crazy amount of pressure on them, and they're going to be like, oh god, they're breaking in. You guys aren't even that focused on that because you're teching up to nukes and you're teching up to Tempests at the same time off a proxy Stargate, and that's going to just create this absolutely frustrating situation for them to deal with. So I really like this opening plan. I think you guys can apply this pretty much any map, and I think it should be really cool.
Okay. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Should we hop out of this replay and maybe try it out in practice?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. Let's hop out. So what we can do is we could actually grab people from my chat if anyone does want to play. Otherwise, we could play versus AI. Would also be fine. So if you just make me the party leader, if anyone wants to play, guys, we need some like very casual players or people who are just willing to kind of not play too serious, because we're just learning a build. So we kind of need you guys to play at whatever, you know, try to emulate bronze or silver players for us, gang. If you do want to join in for some fun, it wouldn't be super competitive play, obviously, because we're just running through a build order. But if you do want to help us out, guys, hop in a chat channel Pig on the North American server, or actually, sorry, not Pig, Pig2 or Piggy, Piggy, either one of those, /join space Piggy. I should probably hide my face so you guys can see that. So you can just go, as you guys see, /join space Piggy, and that will work just fine. Beautiful. All right, so 2v2 maps, okay. What is the current map pool? Well, what was the map we just played on? Let's just play that one so that we have a familiar map, I guess.
The artillery. Heavy artillery, yeah. That's what we just played.
Heavy artillery, that was it. Okay. US West, okay?
Sure. Yep, that's fine.
Yep. All right, sweet as. All right, so I think we've got a few people. I see people logging in on my friends list, so
awesome.
I've got a few people coming on in who would like to play, and they're going to play very, very slow and passive so that we can focus on our build order, first of all, people who are helping us out. All right, we've got Active Villain in here. And Colosopher. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So these guys are both about, I think, not sure what Colosopher is actually, but I know. Active Villain is a diamond cheeser. Does lots of dirty proxies. And Colosopher, I think, is about plat, if memory serves. But they're both going to play pretty chilled out. So they're not going to play crazy hard or anything like that. And, yep. Yep, just play super passive and chill. 25 APM, lads. All right. That's my restriction. So Active Villain and Colosopher can try to play 25 APM if they can. All right, so let's just give it a go. I'll try and talk you guys through it as best I can. And
all right, so then so then our game plan, Baby Swiss is going to build a proxy factory as soon as possible, and then float his barracks to try to get high ground vision.
Yeah, don't float it straight away. Build a whole bunch of Marines first. I'll tell you when to float the barracks. So just basically send one of your first. Yeah, so I'll leave you the Swiss to do a gateway at home and send a probe across to proxy a Stargate on one base. I'm going to let you figure that one out. I'll talk Baby Swiss through his build a little bit. Won't be perfect. It's fine. So basically, yeah, just send one of your very first SCVs all the way across the map. Right at the start, Baby Swiss. And other than that, while that's going across, we can just still build our supply depot at home like we normally would and continue from there.
All right, very good.
So let's get another SCV to go straight across the map, Baby Swiss. Yep, so grab a different one and just click him all the way across the map to where you want to proxy the barracks. Yeah. So you actually want to do that with one of your very first SCVs next time, even quicker. And then we can get that barracks up even faster just to make sure that we don't get interrupted before the bunker's up. But this should still be pretty tight. So you want to go for, you don't want to build a barracks at home, Baby Swiss. Send these two SCVs back. And you want to actually just start taking your barracks on their side. So already place the barracks using that SCV that's on the other side of the map. And then you can go back and take both your gases while that's going up, okay? Beautiful. Keep building SCVs is the most important thing. All right. Hey, so here's a tip. Go over to your barracks and let's control group your barracks, baby Swiss. So what I want you to do, right, is I want you to double tap 1 on your keyboard and then double tap 2. And that will, if you just press number 1 twice on your keyboard, that's going to jump you back home to your base, and number 2 to your barracks. So this way you can quickly, rather than scrolling, you can just always, oh, I want to look at the front, double tap the barracks one on number 2. Oh, I want to go home and spend my money, double tap 1 to jump back to your main. And this will really help you out with your ability to do that. So this is going to be awesome. All right. So behind this, baby Swiss, what are we going to do? We're going to build a bunker right next to that barracks, okay? And start building Marines, all right?
Our allies are being attacked.
Your probes are under attack.
Yep, start building those Marines up. Very nice. All right. So you started the command center, baby Swiss. Normally we'll go for the command center much later after this, but this is all right. We'll start the bunker now and just keep queuing up Marines. So what's more important than the command center? Swiss, defend that command center, bro. Dad, help, Dad. There we go. Good micro on the SCV. Well done. All right, baby Swiss, keep building Marines.
Friendo's base is under attack.
Oh! Oh no, they defended it. All right. So they managed to hold it off this time. So what we want to do is next time we want to try and make sure we get this up a little bit faster, which is going to mean we need that zealot out earlier and then adepts as well, chrono boosted to get across the map to help us out. And we want to get our barracks up, and we're going to do 2 barracks next time. So what we're going to do, because we're playing a friendly match, perfect opportunity for us to just restart and try again. Are you guys okay with that?
Okay.
Sure, that's fine.
Awesome. This would be perfect. So try to get the zealot across the map as quickly as possible to help out as well, if you can, because that'll help us get it up. And what we're going to do, baby Swiss, is 2 SCVs at the very start. So don't bother with your depot at the wall off. We're going to let the Swiss wall off on his own. So all you need to do, grab 2 SCVs, send them straight across the map to where you want to build the barracks. And what we're going to do is we could even... and then we can just build our depots like next to our main command center just to make things really easy. So then you've only got 2 areas to worry about. This will be awesome. It'll make it a bit easier.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. So we're going to go essentially 2 barracks on the front. Then we'll go for a factory on the front after the bunker. And then we'll work our way towards nukes. And that'll be good because we have 2 barracks on the front. So we can actually build double Ghost Academy, double nuke production, and double Ghost production, which will be super bloody fun. This will be awesome. This will be very, very, very fun. Once we get that up, that should be very, very disruptive, and it should be fantastic. All right, so let's try one more time. I'm gonna make myself the ref. Let's get these other 2 guys in here. Active villain and where'd Philosopher go? There we go. Active villain's asking, it's like, should I have scouted the barracks accidentally? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as he's not doing a perfect pro build order, it'll be fine. All right, so let's grab 2 SCVs and send them straight across the map. So just click those on the mini map.
Good luck and have fun.
And what you can do with those SCVs, put those on number 2. So if you go control 2 on these SCVs, yep. So that should be fine. Control 2. And yeah, keep building SCVs at home. That's all right. And get a depot started. And just build your depot next to your command center. You don't need to build it all the way at the front. Yeah. Awesome. And you can cue that SCV back. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. This is real good. So what we're going to do now is go to your 2 SCVs at the front. Let's go hide them in a corner somewhere. So, oh, don't go up the ramp. Just back to your normal proxy locations. Fine, baby Swiss.
Well, I'm back to where you normally.
We got to put our 2 barracks down somewhere. All right, we're gonna do the backdoor one. Oh no. That's all right. Yeah, just keep on building that. And let's go home, keep building SCVs, and let's try and build 2 gases. All right. So Swiss, make sure you get the 2nd gas straight away and drop another chrono boost and then start saturating your gases as soon as you can, okay? Queue up as many probes as you can, and you'll be able to get the Stargates up soon. Awesome. So we're going to do a reverse siege from behind their bases this time, which is going to be kind of crazy, but it's going to be extra chaotic, which is extra fun. Which means Swiss is going to be sieging from the front a little bit more, which means just go for more Void Rays to start is probably better because, you know, the faster the better. So baby Swiss, let's start getting those Marines pumping out on the front. Let's go stare at our barracks. We want to get lots of Marines, build 2 bunkers as well. And we just got to try and get this position reinforced as quickly as possible. All right, this is going to be great. And as soon as those barracks are done, the bunkers, sorry, I want you to... Oh, got to build another depot. So go home and build another depot or 2. Very good. And what you can do is you can cancel your SCV building, and then you can make an orbital command center if you want. So just wait for 150 minerals, and that's going to help you. Because we can drop mules behind this and scans. Beautiful. All right, let's go back to the front now, and let's put our Marines in our bunkers. Now you can just rally those barracks, 1 to each bunker if you want. And that way it's going to automatically make them go in there. And let's start building a factory up here, okay?
You want a piece of me, boy?
Oh, no, we want to build it up with our
Command center
barracks.
upgrade is complete.
Because we want to be sieging from there. So cancel the factory at home if you can, and then try to just build one up here. Awesome. And we could even build 2 factories if we want, just to keep it nice. And that way you can go double tank production. It'll be really cool. So we can get really good at this this kind of bunker marine tank siege. It'll be really beautiful.
The Grim Reaper has arrived. Gangway, coming through.
The accidental reaper, hey, handy harassment.
Who wants some? This better be good.
All right. Okay, so we can also build 2 ghost academies, either up here or back at home if you want. I think up here is good. We can build them behind the mineral line.
Armed and ready.
And then we can cancel the Marines that are building and build 2 tech labs on the barracks so we can start heading towards nukes. Actually, you know what? Cancel one of those tech labs, baby Swiss. That's my mistake. And lift one of the barracks off, and then we can float it up this ramp to see what's ahead of us. So that can be our spotter barrack. So we can have 1 for building ghosts and 1 for spotting.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah, that's mine.
I was scared.
Yeah, it's like, where'd this void ray come from, dude? All right, so what you don't want to move your tank in on its own, baby Swiss. Get that tank out of there. Oh no. So remember, you always need your tank to be behind your Marines and bunkers. At most, just barely in front of it, okay? So what you can do is you can build another bunker a bit further forward, but you've got to keep your tank on this low ground cliff, right? You can't go up the ramp. So what you can do is you can siege off to the left side, or over to the right side, and you should be able to hit the gases of one of your opponents if you siege your tank on the edges. Nice. Oh. Oh, nice. Oh my god, repair that tank up, baby Swiss. Good job. Oh my god, your Marines and tanks just killed so many Marines. That was awesome. Oh, so baby Swiss, move your... Oh, using the scan. Good job. So you could have moved your barracks over there as well. So if you ever run out of scans, just remember you can always float that floating barracks over to spot the high ground as well. So maybe if you float the barracks over to the left side now, and then you move your tanks and siege them right on the edge, you can take out the Terran players' gases as well. Good SCV fight. Really well done, mate. Just make sure you put all your workers back on the gas as well, so that you can keep on building the tech units. Good job. You can also make a couple nukes now, and we can start making ghosts as well. Oops, Swiss's Tempest got caught.
Oh, yeah, I was looking away.
Whoa.
Okay, so Swiss, you kept attacking the main, which is not bad, but rather than letting a Tempest chase in there, you should always be rotating, because you've got another base right next to you as well you could be hitting. Not to mention, if you get even 1 or 2 Tempests all the way around to the top left, you could be sieging the other mineral lines as well. So just try to remember to work multiple angles and not just siege one location. Baby Swiss can absolutely just siege the one angle, and it's totally fine for him, because he's got a more static army. But your job is to branch out from there and be super, super annoying.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't bother with Phoenixes. I think that's like way too fancy. Because you've also gone blink behind it as well, right? So... Oh, was that active villain that went blink? That was active villain that went blink. Oh, never mind. I was like, we're getting way ahead of ourselves going blink and Phoenix. Alright. Nope.
That can be hit. That's being hit.
All right, Baby Swiss, this is where you do the super cool move, all right? So, Baby Swiss, you've still got the floating barracks in the back. If you can go land that behind the minerals in the very top right of the map and build a tech lab there, you can try and... No, up in the very top right corner of the map. So right up behind that base, behind the minerals, further... Yeah. But actually tell it to put a tech lab down. So what you can do is you can select the barracks and you can tell it where to build the tech lab already. There you go, yeah. And then you can try to sneak some ghosts out there. And we can make cloak at the same time at home. And then we can try to do some sneaky ghosts from inside the back of their base. So That'll be awesome. Just go to your Ghost Academy and make sure you start the cloak upgrade. Oh, you already got it? Wow. I didn't even realize. Good job, good job. So yeah, just queue up a couple ghosts back there. Don't send them in yet. Just wait for them to gather some energy and stuff, and then it'll be really awesome. Behind this, looks like you're going for starports again, Baby Swiss. So maybe better for you to get the factories up so we can do that Thor style. So what you're going to need for that is notice how you've got lots of money. Unfortunately, Dad has walled us in, so we can't actually mass expand right now. So we're going to need Dad to break the pylons down, Mr. Swiss. But Baby Swiss, if you take all your gases on your back base and build a bunch more SCVs, that'll be really nice. And remember, yeah, select number 1 to build SCVs is going to be really cute as well.
No, that's you.
Yeah, sorry, I was breaking that wall.
I'm a key. Wow.
We finished that add-on. Nice.
Ghost reporting.
All right, James Bond time. You got this, Baby Swiss. And try to always cast nukes on a mineral line if you can, because where the workers are is like the maximum value. Yeah. Yes.
Ghost reporting.
Baby Swiss is nuking him. Swiss is lasering them, finding those bases with the oracles. Well done, guys. Very well done. Very well done. Getting some big nukes off, some big harassment off. This is awesome. So for Swiss, it's going to be your job. What you want to do is you want to try and take the bases in the bottom right, continuing this thing that you're doing, if you can. But you also want to just start grabbing your ground army and just moving it around the map. Because, oh, I guess they've got a big army outside your base, don't they? Oh, I guess it's probably a bit too late. Oh, well. You can try to make stasis traps and just defend with that at home. Sentries definitely ain't going to cut the mustard. I'm not sure what else you could do. Maybe try to go for, like, either carriers or disruptors, or you're going to have to start your way down one of these splash damage tech trees, whichever one it is, and see what you can do.
Our allies' base is under attack. Our allies are being attacked. The minerals have up and gone.
Ghost reporting.
Rod, get through the scans. Gets through. Oh, they raised the wall on you, those cheeky buggers.
Hey, help your friend.
I got another
His base
ghost.
is under attack.
There's more where that came from, man.
You can't stop me with the
Frendo's base is
society,
under
though.
attack.
There's
Our
no.
allies are being attacked. Base is under attack.
Not my base.
Our allies' base is under attack. The minerals have
battle cruisers.
No, yeah.
defeated.
I forgot to see what.
You got another nice nuke down. I gotta say, it looks like they're gonna push you guys in at home, but well played. We got some nukes off in the back door. We got to experiment there with that one a little bit as well. But they built a giant army. But yeah, I like this idea of the barracks factory push with the Stargates. I think if you guys proxy out the front, you can join your forces up a little bit easier as well, and I do think a lot of players will really struggle. It's kind of funny because these guys are both Diamond 3 sort of players.
We win.
Say what?
Oh, well, sorry, I couldn't catch what Baby Swiss said.
I was wondering where the Omi had gone. I was looking for it so I could nuke it.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was already over in Swiss's base by that point. But yeah, these guys, they ended up, even though they tried to play a little slower than they're obviously, like, they're very experienced players being in Diamond League, They just at the end you can see they macroed like crazy, way better than you guys normal ladder opponents would. So I think most people would have been much more stressed out and like floundering and lost due to the Tempest hitting them and the bunkers in the back and everything else. But that was awesome. So GG's.
All right, I'm gonna hop out of this game.
No worries. Let's hop out of that one. So that's actually been a full hour, but I want to hear how this strategy goes for you guys, because I do think this is like the ultimate setting up for fun. You can do, I guess, for Swiss in that game. If you do want to have a more solid follow-up, don't bother changing the units you're building too much. Literally just keep building Tempest and just try to get enough to overwhelm. And maybe just focus on doing it off a single Stargate could be a way to do it. So you leaned into it really heavily, right? Where you were like, okay, I'm just going to like get the second Stargate and keep going. But one of the most powerful things you could do there is build the fleet beacon at home, number one. And if you want to go more Stargate units, build it at home, but why not transition into whether it be Stalker, Disruptor, or something else? So that way it gives you more of a clear limiting factor on how much you're going to commit to the Tempest Rush, right? So it's like, I will keep building Tempest off one Stargate, but because I'm double expanding behind it to 3 bases, it's making sure you don't overcommit to just Tempests, which obviously they're going to be countering, right? So if they survive the Tempest, we kind of hopefully by that point have a 3-base economy up and, we're into Stalkers with Blink now, and we're starting to add Disruptors. So it doesn't matter that you lose all your Tempests and your proxy Stargate and that sort of stuff, right? Whereas it's always dangerous to keep flowing into the same sort of aggression, because it's in their face already. So already they're focused on shutting that down. So if they do manage to shut it down, everything's committed to that. It's kind of game over to a certain extent. And because you've got literally the funnest Terran strategy happening by your side, which is by its very definition overcommitted, right? It's proxy barracks. Then we've got tanks. Then we've got nukes coming in. It is like just crazy aggression. So Baby Swiss has already got the harassment and the messing with your opponents kind of handled for the next 5 minutes of the game, just by this incredibly hard to break out of contain, plus these nukes coming in. It's going to be like, they're already going to be reeling. So your job is going to be to, at some point in the game, I don't know what the game time would be, 13 minutes, whatever, have a decent ground army that can actually just do a standard battle, right? Because if we spend too long on Tempest, Ghosts, proxy tanks, proxy bunkers, there's going to be a point where if they just get out 30 Hydras or something, they can like move across the map and win. And it's going to be like, oh, damn, if I had any army at home, I could have got that. So I think going single Stargate for you will give you like the limiting factor so you don't overcommit to it. And maybe you stop at 4 Tempests or something. You just give yourself a rule just so that you're like, oh, I'm not focusing on that as much anymore. It's like, let's build 6 gateways and get the upgrades at home and that sort of stuff.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you giving us advice. It was fun. And also appreciate, thank you, Active Villain and Philosopher, for bearing with us through a couple of games. So.
No, that was awesome. I love that you guys are playing such a fun style. Twitch chat was loving it, by the way, as well. They're all like, oh, this is what 2v2 is meant to be. Yes, like, nukes running around and Tempest sieging mineral lines and just silly craziness. So that's awesome. Yeah. That's what StarCraft's meant to be, is play the strategies you want to do and have fun with it. Heck yeah.
We have a lot of fun. We're not very good, but it's fun. So
We're not good.
Better to be having fun. Anyways, awesome guys. Well, I hope you have a great evening, and thanks for getting the coaching. I'll chat to you guys in the Twitch chat and so on, and hopefully get to talk to you guys again soon.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right, good night, guys.
Great.
Bye.